All right, guys, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, 12 Gauge Uncut returns this week with Zack Riley. And I've got him. You're not going to see him. He's not invisible. He's not John Cena. Zack Riley is joining us via Bluetooth. And so Zack can, though, legitimately say, you can't see me. But Zack, thank you for joining us, buddy. I appreciate you taking the time. And apparently I'm getting bombarded by ladybugs while I'm actually trying to podcast right now as well.
Well, Rocky, thank you for having me, man. I mean, it's a career highlight.
Well, we won't go that far.
I will.
So
Exciting.
So guys, yeah, so we talked about this on the last podcast, and I said that I would get Zack Riley on here, and now we have Zack Riley on here. So
yes, sir.
Before we get into all the juicy information that I'm going to ask Zack is probably nervous because he doesn't know the first clue of what I'm going to ask him, but he does know me well enough to know there'll be some surprises.
Oh yeah. I'm ready, Rocky.
All right, so we just had a great night at KLT as far as, you getting to actually show up, and and those of you who didn't get to see Zack, we'll try to make sure that you get to see some pictures. He was in Inspiration of Mankind last night. And so we had Mankind running the sound booth last night. So over the last year, Zack has been running, I think it's roughly about a year now, right? That you've been running sound?
Yep. Yes, sir. Okay. Roughly about a year.
So, and Zack, what do you do? What's your daily grind, and what's your current shoot job?
Well, all right, my shoot job. First time I've been asked that. I actually work at a warehouse, boxing sinks. I mean, like putting them in boxes, not fighting them.
Okay.
But I live with my dad up in Roswell during the week, and then when the weekend finally rolls around, about Friday night, I get in my car, I go down to Rome. I help build the arena. I help get all the lights and music stuff set up, just because I don't want to have to do it the next day after training, And then the next day, I get up bright and early, get me a good breakfast, clean up, and then head over to training, man. And after that, after about a good 2 or 3 hours, good solid training, we wait for the show, and that's when the fun begins.
Absolutely. There is nothing like preparing or getting ready for a wrestling show, because the key factor is you can't really
cannot.
ready.
No, you never know what's going to happen.
Yes. Anything that can change and go wrong, much like today we were trying to get the Bluetooth set up going here, that in a wrestling event, it's absolutely something's going to go wrong, and you're going to have been thrown a curveball.
Yep. And sometimes when you do something wrong, it's playing music at the wrong time, and the curveball is a chair.
Yes, and we will come back to
we'll
that.
We'll get into that,
Yeah, we will definitely go there. So tell us, so me and you, I guess we go back as far as about two plus years now.
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah, so when I met Zack, Zack was much like he is now, though. Zack has lost, I'd say, I don't know exactly how much you've lost, but you have lost some weight.
Since
I would time that we met.
It's just the quality of, life in general.
Yeah.
It's changed a lot for the better.
Yeah. So, and I saw you grow a lot, especially in confidence, self-esteem, and seeing you do things that you were terrified to do in the ring that you now don't even think a second thought about.
Oh yeah.
And so I've loved getting to watch you grow through that journey. I mean, man, it's you come so far, and you've done you've done the one thing that we all knew you could do, but it's the hardest thing to do, is you didn't give up. Every time you just bear down and went at it harder. And guys, if I don't want to take the time to quantify these, some of you guys, if you've not met Zack, how much do you weigh right now?
I'm sitting around the 350 mark.
Okay. Zack is a big guy. And to come into a sport as wrestling's hard. Wrestling's hard for a guy that's in good physical condition.
Hardest thing I've ever done.
Yes. So that means that Zack had to go through and carry the weight of usually two people at this point in a heavyweight and learn to try to become a wrestler. So I mean, it's hard. I mean, it's hard just to lose that weight, but much less it's hard to learn to move at the speed we move at, the continuous motion. Um, I mean, so kudos for anyone that's been able to stick in there. And Zack should be an inspiration to you guys. If he can do it, you can get your ass in there and do it.
Oh, absolutely. No, if I can do it, yeah.
So
first of all, I just want to say thank you very much. And you've been there since day one for me. You're one of the first people I saw and met and shook hands with. By the way, these weird pauses that I'm doing, I'm sorry. It's like I can hear myself. I just want the people to know that. Like I'm waiting for my echo to cut out before I talk again.
Yeah. And I'm hoping that doesn't come through the feed is in the final podcast. So we're hoping this is the first time we've actually tried the podcast this way. So Zack and you guys both are a guinea pig on this one.
Indeed. And you know what? If it messes up, we'll come back. It'll be all right.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Well, I think they'll enjoy it. It can't be that disturbing overall.
Oh yeah, no. But back to the point. You've been there since day one. You've always been there to help me, to motivate me through. And like on my first day, there were 3 men that I met. And I've always, I've said this before. It was, Mike Golden, Chris Kamikaze, and yourself. And no matter what KLT might think of those first 2 names, they were there. But I will say, getting with it and staying with it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. But it's also been the most rewarding thing. And if there's anything I've learned from the journey, it's just that you can, that phrase that you can do anything you want, you can do anything you set your mind to. Yeah, that's real. That's very real.
Absolutely is real. The one thing they don't tell you is it's damn hard to do it though.
Oh, yes.
So it doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but it can be done.
Nope. And you know what? The less easy it is, usually the more rewarding.
Yes, absolutely. So, big sacrifice, big reward.
Definitely. And if there's anything that I've learned in this business, it's sacrifice. Yeah. Because, when I first started, I can remember the emotions are still kind of fresh. I can go back and think about it. I remember when I first learned that this sport was going to take every weekend going forward. Like every Saturday, you're going to have to get up and you're going to have to dedicate some time at least. And, there are some people who do it day in, day out, 7 days a week. And I would love to join those ranks. But I remember back when I first started, I had a moment of like, do I really want to do this? This is a lot of work. But at the end of the day, I can't think of anything else I'd rather do. And, I think that I've been very lucky. I've been very lucky to have the people by my side that I've had. So.
Yeah, and that's an interesting thing because me and going back, me and Dalton and even talked about you, and it was people can tell you, and you
shout
know
out
me.
To Dalton, by the way.
Yeah, big shout out to Dalton. As I can be very blunt and if I don't think someone has a chance, or if I don't feel the heart and the passion from them, I can tell them and shoot them down right away. And I don't try to do that being hurtful or mean.
No.
But
I've seen you do it.
Yeah, I want you to save your time. If there's something else that you're made for, then that's it. But if you don't have a thick skin, you can't suck it up. And there's just so much in this business to deal with, from the drama to the politics the physical, the
Yeah.
mental
There
toil.
is.
I mean, there's
Yes.
a lot of reasons if you find a wrestler that has cough cough Mike Golden have been divorced several times because this business takes a toll on
It does.
relationships and you yourself, not only mentally
Yes.
and physically both. I mean, it's easy if you don't keep yourself grounded in your passion for this business. It'll suck the fun
Hmm.
out of you and leave you dry.
Yeah, it really will.
And so,
I I, I've kind of put it together in my mind that I will not argue with anybody else more than I'll argue with myself to get out of bed to be good at this. So it's like if I'm proud of the work that I've done, then I'm less worried about. I'm not going to say I'm less worried about other people's opinions because in this business that's kind of everything. But I think another really big deal in this business, another thing that you need, is the ability to believe in yourself. And it sounds cliche, but you know, I just Rocky, you never told me I couldn't do it, but I've definitely met people who have,
yeah,
and I can't condone listening to those people.
yeah,
But you definitely have a very good radar on those things. Yeah, I don't think you've been wrong yet.
yeah. And I hate that sometimes. I want to see people succeed, but
Hmm.
but in the same
And I can
instance,
see that.
at I'm 42 years old now, so I've been through kickboxing, and I know what
Oh
it
yeah.
takes from a mental standpoint
Oh yeah.
and and just a toughness level. And if you don't have that, it's pretty obvious really quick.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
unfortunately, it's not something you can really teach. You
It's
you kind
not.
of you develop that growing up from either your parents or your personal experiences.
Hmm.
Um, I think we heard. I'm trying to go back on that, and I can't remember who actually stated that fundamentally most wrestlers in this business are broken in some way or form,
Yep. Hmm.
and we all decide to do this business because of that, and so we have a reason and inspiration that's unique from everyone else.
Indeed.
Honestly, a normal person wouldn't choose to put themselves through what we do body wise.
Absolutely not. And for
So
that whole phrase $5 and a handshake, y'all think that's a joke?
yeah. There's been plenty of nights that I wrestled for
Hmm.
free, and to get the experience. Now I'm not at that point, so
Nope.
I'm gonna charge for when I show up on a card now, but and that's not because of the fans. I'd show up for the fans free every time, but your
Oh,
body
for
your
sure.
body takes a toll, and by the end of the day, you still got to pay your bills.
It's like Mr. Foley talks about the risk reward ratio
Yeah,
analysis.
yeah,
But
absolutely. So
you know, I've been to some promotions that you get out there and you see some of the stuff that the other folks are doing, and it's like, oh, that's crazy.
yeah,
And you got to keep that in mind. You got to keep your well being in mind.
yeah, absolutely.
So
You want to
yeah,
never lose sight of the fact that you might have kids one day, and you want to be able to play with them.
right. I want to be able to get off the floor.
Yes,
You know.
yes.
Yeah.
And this business has taken a toll. There's a lot of people that can't get out of the floor now and play with their
Oh,
grandkids.
yeah. Yeah.
It's
And
sad to
of
see, but
course,
there's that.
no disrespect to veterans that have sacrificed so much as that. I mean, I think that level of dedication is admirable, to say the least. It's just, I personally, I try to keep my, I try to think about it,
Yeah,
but
absolutely. And
you
that's
know,
that's one of the things me and you, Dalton, and I've talked to you guys about. Plenty of times. go out there and do something stupid for a $5 check,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
a
You've
$5 promise. Whatever
yeah, you've
that would be.
that's one thing I want to bring up. You've always been real protective just about that kind of stuff. You've I think whenever you find out somebody's serious, or like whenever somebody's proven themselves to you, you kind of get that Papa Bear mentality. Like I've seen that from you a lot, and I've always appreciated it. So
Yeah.
I'll point that out just real quick.
Yeah. Well, brothers should take care of each other, and to me,
Yes, sir.
wrestling does have that unique bond that we formed that
Oh, certainly.
nobody else. There's bonds that I have with you guys that I've never had with anybody else you know in history. There's
God,
something completely different. Uh,
it's crazy. It's hard to describe. It's like it's almost tribal. If I
yes.
had to, I mean, I know that's a hot word in wrestling today,
Yeah.
but it's it's like a family. That's really what it's like. And of course, you've got your bad apples, you've got your rotten eggs, but ultimately, being one of these people, I can say this factually because I'm one of these people. As long as you don't forget your love and the fact that you do this for love and passion, then those other people will always connect with you. Like you'll always have that connect.
Yes. Absolutely.
You could have just met them. You could have known them for a decade.
Yeah.
It's crazy, and wrestling is the only place I've seen that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, because there's so many bonds whether that I think that Zero will call me up, or we talk all the time.
Yeah, loves you.
Yeah, great guy. Very Zero has stories, man, and he has a way of lifting you up. But but
Yeah, he's incredible.
yeah, so but there's and as far as we mentioned Dalton, we'll talk all the time.
Love Dalton.
So
Dalton's been easily one of my closest allies, so to speak. You know that we,
yes,
the whole gun club thing. That's not public yet, but
yeah.
you know,
Yeah, we will definitely. Where a few people heard that word gun club, they're gonna be really interested and teased. But maybe just in the
oh yeah,
future, they'll get a little bit bigger glimpse of that. So we'll see how that goes.
yep. I'll keep my mouth shut for now, though.
Oh, that's okay. So what we're gonna dive into next is I want to talk about the road to superstars in
hmm
2022. So
Oh man, we're going back.
we're gonna go back because I
All right.
think that is one of not only your defining moments, that was a
Oh yeah,
moment that I had with you personally that that I'll never forget.
me neither. Me neither,
Because
man.
there's many things, and Zach, with you, honestly, there's been many moments that I don't forget that we've had that
Yeah.
over time for training in the old KLT building
Yep.
that
Yep.
where
Those first promos.
those first promos, yeah, where you tried to cut a promo on me wearing my one of my t-shirts.
I was wearing one of your t-shirts.
So
God, that
so
was funny.
yeah, and it was great because I could not help but use that on you because you were, I mean, it was right there in front of me the entire time. And
Yeah, man.
so,
I mean, it was honestly perfect. It was a fun way to break the ice. I think I was so nervous. I just remember being so scared. I had to search for the right words. When I first started in this business, I was just terrified. I was closer to 400 pounds when I started.
yeah,
And I was deteriorating as a person, just in general, from my personal life. I had come out of some pretty rough stuff, and I'll look back on that sometimes, and whenever I feel like I need motivation. I look back and I remember where I started, but when we started those promos, I was terrified. I mean, taking a bump was scary. Taking a face bump was even worse. But I think worse than that was talking. Like I said I was good at it, but then I got into it and I realized, oh God.
Yeah.
I still cringe at the Zack effing dynamite.
Right.
But, every single one of those ended in us just laughing, cutting up, and having a good time. And that was one of those moments that, I'll never forget it either. And it really helped me get comfortable. It helped me feel welcome.
Yeah. Well, and it was really fun, and and dude, they don't realize how hard training was for us. And that building then, when you started, it was cold, and so
Yeah.
we tried to wrestle and actually stay warm and not get a heat stroke and sweat to death while we were wrapped up at the same time.
Yeah.
So
yeah, God, I remember getting botulism from drinking from the sink.
Right, that was the nastiest bathroom ever back there.
God, I can't believe I drank from that sink.
Yeah. So they should have gave Ricky that building for free for us having to deal with the bathrooms that were there.
Seriously, should have paid us for wrestling in it.
Yes, absolutely.
But we do what we could,
Yeah, and so, but yeah, we worked that, and then then it got it was cold, then it got hot in the summer where we went from using heaters to using the fans blowing, which in that building in Georgia summer, it didn't make a difference. But then things got worse. Then things got worse. We got rid of the building and they moved the ring
only got worse.
outside under the Georgia sun at 102 degrees, and we still wrestled.
We still wrestled, buddy. I remember throwing my guts up and then getting right back in the ring with you.
So
we still have the video. Anybody who's seen the video of me taking the 12 gauge, that was a few months after I started. That was when we got out in the junkyard. It was so freaking hot, but what people don't know is before that video, I threw my guts up. Like, I was so hot. I was burning up so much. I went over and I guess the only thing you need to do to get me to drink from questionable sources is make me tired enough. Pick up the nearest garden hose, turn it on, take a few, good swigs.
Yes.
And then, whatever. It's how I was raised. I ain't afraid of a garden hose.
Yeah.
And then I'm throwing up.
Well, it was always the smart thing is when you cut the water hose on, if you were the person that waited at least for the first few sips to disappear, so that you actually got you didn't get that scalding hot water that was still in the hose.
Had to let it run for a few seconds.
Yes. Or,
but you know what? I felt hydrated, damn it.
So,
that and that. Remember that T-shirt that I designed?
Oh yes. Now that
oh my god,
I do remember that now.
It was made of a thick cotton, and I decided it was a good idea to wear it out there. I didn't have the brains for it, but I had the passion.
You did, and still have the passion. If I could bottle up your passion and sell it to people, that would be the ultimate thing.
Because that's one hell of a compliment, Rocky.
Because when you came to us back in we're gonna even break some rules here, and we're gonna mention names that shall not be or normally shouldn't be named. So,
ooh boy.
Yeah, right. We're gonna do it because they call me the heat magnet for a reason.
Well,
So,
I didn't come on here. I didn't come on here completely ignorant. So let's do it, right?
so, so we're setting up Superstars to 2022 Fan
Mm-hmm.
Fest, and Sean Ambrose is we'll
Mm-hmm.
keep it kayfabe, and I'll say Ambrose is
Yeah. Yeah.
setting up this to do this show, and he's going to be the promoter of it, and he's the one that's promoted the last several Superstars that has happened. Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so at this point, me and Sean are working closely knit to making this show go down. And the show went down and
Yes,
went down very successfully at that, with over 1,000
it did.
people. Um,
It did. It was a great turnout.
we had V3 covering media. We had stories, about it printed in the V3 afterwards. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think I can't remember the exact name. Over the Ropes, I think was the title of the story. Um, so we had a lot going for us at that point in time. But before that time, there was a battle royal supposed to take place, and
Uh-huh.
Sean came to me and says, "Can you pick me some guys that will be in the Rumble? That they need to be safe, but this will be their time to be in front of 1,000 people." This is
Yeah.
what we had thought at this point in time, and at this point in time, I'm picking the guys that not only that I trust, but that I want to give those spots to, that I think they've earned it through that hard work and will. And Zach,
Mm-hmm.
you were in Dalton were the first two that were on my list. Period.
And
Um,
that knowing that means the world to me,
yeah.
honestly, because that was one heck of an opportunity.
But now in the same instance, and you know this, so I don't feel. Even though I love you and I trust you and I knew you worked hard for it, I was terrified
Yeah.
for you
Oh
to
yeah.
go over that top rope.
It was terrifying when I did it.
And so I remember that was the thing that I was glued to watch, as and man, then you go over that top rope and I thought you died, because it will, I mean
Yeah, I thought I did too.
and I thought I was gonna have to go throw Randy Tucker out myself after that. uh
Yeah, him. I was thrown out by Randy Tucker and Jay Bird.
yeah,
He helped too.
yeah.
But then again, I did grind his eyes against the rope, so I imagine I kind of deserved it. But
So
I was just a cocky kid out there doing what I could.
yeah. So tell us now. Now you heard my story. That's what, from my end leading up to it. Tell me from you get the call from me.
All right, yeah. So you call me, and it was you who told me first. Kamikaze called me short after, like a day or two later. He told me. I think he actually told the group, but you told me in Dalton a little sooner. Um, I remember being uh, really, 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 really scared because I had never gone over the top rope before, much less performed in front of a live audience. And my first ever time being in front of an audience was in front of over 1,000 people, and that was just crazy to me. Um, but I started training a lot more. Like I buckled down a little more, just because it was an example that opportunities come. It was the first time I was really shown how you get opportunities in the business. Because I've been doing all this work and I've been setting up shows and I've been helping with this and that. I've been coming to training and nothing was really happening. A lot of talking was happening. Well, Superstars was the first thing that actually happened, you know. So, um, for about a month and maybe less than a month, but I want to say like a month, I was just so nervous. I would go to work and like I would this was when I worked with an ambulance service. Um I would go to work and I would just sit in the truck and be like, oh my God, October 22nd, 2022, I'm going to go over the top rope in front of 1,000 people. How am I going to do this? I don't know what I'm doing. Um, I think the funniest bit is leading up to the actual match. I never practiced going over the top rope specifically. I never got to actually practice it.
Yeah.
So I got the training, and I can't remember if we still had the pink ring set up then, or if we had moved yet. I think we were at the junkyard, but I'm not sure. We were somewhere where I wasn't going to go over the top rope.
Yeah.
Because I was either going to hit gravel or I was going to hit concrete, or back then that was terrifying to me. Nowadays, maybe, but
Yeah.
I remember Kamikaze stressing to me really, really practice going over the top rope, and I never got to. I remember the day of Superstars, the morning of, we went in for training, and Kamikaze was telling me, we're gonna get you over the top rope. We're gonna set up a spot where we got 5 or 6 people around you, and we're gonna get you over safely. And then Sean comes in and says, "Hey guys, remember the tarps we didn't have to put down? Well, now we have to put them down." So we had to go pick up all those folding chairs, move all those bleachers,
Yeah.
move tables. Thank God we didn't have to take the ring down. But up until the match, I had never practiced going over the top rope. And it was only 2 people who helped me get thrown out. So that's why it was so terrifying.
Yeah.
I remember talking to my friends and family about it a lot. There was a lot of like, oh yeah, that's cool. That's going to be really neat. And then, nobody seemed as excited for it as I was. And, that was to be expected until like after.
Yes.
And then that's when all the comments started.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it was. And you came back, and I remember just seeing you because I was waiting to see for you guys to come out. And I was so nervous,
Yep.
and I'm still getting ready at that point for the dog cage match. So
yep, you still had your match with Big Dog.
yeah, and so
hell of a match, by the way.
Man, it was weird. The funny part was that no one listened to me beforehand, and they waited till the last minute. And Sean gets back there with the dog collar, and I laugh at him. I said, "Good luck with that." And he goes, "Dude, this is the extra large dog collar, and it would not go around my neck." They had to go back and cut holes to make additional links to get it around my neck.
Oh my gosh!
And I was like, I'm telling you, I was like, and I think at that point when they told Big Dog, I think he was a little worried too because he realized how big of a neck he was going to be strapped to, and so
yeah, I mean, shoot.
But
that's funny.
Yeah, it is because
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, people don't realize like seriously when I go to get a t-shirt, a shirt like a tie-in shirt, I have to get it a night. Well, at the time that I wore a regular shirt as far as a collar, it had to be a 19 and a half to a 20.
Yeah, no, you got a big old tree trunk, Nick.
And so that was the one thing that I was known for was having, so it's not like I couldn't go to JCPenney's or something, just pick up most of those are like a 17 and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no buttoning my neck in with a 17 and a half. That button's just going to go flying.
No kidding. First person you get pissed off at is going to get shot with a button.
Right. So, but yeah, and I remember, locking eyes with you grabbing me and hugging me, and then you just fell apart tear wise, and was the emotion hit you. You were overwhelmed by at that point in time, and then I'm trying to hold it together because you're choking me up. And
Dude, I'm thinking about it right now, and like there's no way for me to think about that moment without getting emotional.
yeah,
But it was just like, and I had a very similar moment with Dalton. I would say damn near like exactly the same. Well, I think we all did really,
yeah,
but I the first person I saw was Dalton coming out from backstage, and him and I, having been training side by side for so long, and all that, I couldn't help but cry. Like we both cried like big old babies. And then when I go in and I see you, and it's like it's all over again. I walk up, I hug you, and it just all fucking like, oh,
it's okay. It's called Uncut for a
my bad.
reason.
Yeah, my bad. It's just all, it all just comes forward, and I'm hugging one of the guys that gave me the opportunity I've been told my whole life that I would never get. You know, and so that was a huge thing for me, and I couldn't thank you enough.
Well,
And just in that moment, man, it was like I remembered everybody, not specifically, but I remembered how I felt before I came into the business. Like even on my first few weeks, like I remembered when I felt like I didn't belong. I remember when I felt like I wasn't going to make it. Like I didn't have any business being where I was. And then I went out and performed in front of 1,000 people.
that you did.
And when I came back, I I was greeted by a proud mentor, and that was priceless.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
that whole night was priceless.
it was. Now, I agree. Yeah, that's one of the nights that'll stick with me forever. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Now moving, I'm gonna move into past superstars, and till we start
Mm-hmm.
seeing Zack has took that time to grow his. He went through some job shifts during that time frame. Uh,
Oh yeah.
moved to the sound guy, and as I kind of stepped out of the picture to KLT for a little while, you had Lamar Phillips join
Mm-hmm.
KLT. And
Unfortunately.
so, you and Lamar seem to have a little issue with uh, Zach Riley, and he continued to be that. You were that person he decided to bully after a small error kind of, I guess, pointed you out to him.
Yeah, no kidding. Um, I've lived my life into this point, disagreeing with the notion of even having enemies. But in this business, that's impossible. You're gonna have enemies. You'll get enemies waking up and eating breakfast.
Don't I know
You
it?
know, in this business. Yeah, no kidding. But um, the whole business with Lamar, it all started like it did not need to get to what it's gotten to. Like I'm almost thankful for what's happened. It's not how I expected, to get my foot in the door, but um, the guy just that night, I'll never forget it. He was wrestling Davian Darko, if I'm not mistaken, and that sound setup that we have, it is a jerry rigged setup.
Yes, it
It
is.
is it's exactly what it looks like, okay? It is a little we didn't even have the stupid box that everything sat in at first. This was when everything was loose. So, you got all these crazy wires everywhere, and you got to try to match up, you know, everything to everything. But we got three different aux cords, and you get mixed up. It happens. Especially when you're one guy. And I go to move the volume knob up, so I'm prepared to play the music for whoever finally goes over. Um, Funny part is, I actually had Lamar's music ready. Like I was ready to play his because no offense to Davey and Darko, but it was very one sided if you ask me.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I turn up the volume, and next thing I know, it was like Katy Perry or something. And and then I've got I look up, and it was like, you know, I imagine I imagine that I felt how a caveman felt when he saw a saber-toothed tiger licking its lips at him. When I looked up and I saw Lamar pissed off,
Yeah, yeah.
glaring back at me. And then he gets rolled up, next thing I know. And yeah, I costed him the match. And I would have been able to accept responsibility for that, move on, say I'm sorry. But that's not the kind of person Lamar is. That's just the kind of person I am. So next thing I know, Lamar walks back. I'm sitting there feeling more guilty than I've ever felt in my life. And then it feels like I get hit with a truck. I can't even begin to describe. I mean, I could try to, but I felt every bone and organ in my chest cavity shift.
Yeah.
And you can watch those videos back, and you can tell he was mad, because if you look forward, like I was watching the Skrilla the Great versus Lamar Phillips. Shout out to Skrilla, by the way. I was watching their last man standing match, where Lamar actually won that title in the first place. And I'll tell you what, he didn't hit Skrilla as hard as he hit me. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So he was mad. He was really, really mad. And he drugged me to the ring. He had me by my damn short hairs. And I was trying to beg him. I was scared, man. I didn't know what else to do. And he he ripped the damn sleeve off of my good flannel. So that sucked. He
Yeah.
went to pick me up, and the sleeve just came off my shirt. That's a testament to how strong this man is.
Yeah. Yeah. Lamar's a hoss.
He got me in the corner. He started choking me out, and he was hitting me in the face, and I'm trying to remember it all. It was really a flash. At one point, I know he had me on my stomach, and he took the sleeve that he had ripped off, and he was choking me with it. And I just remember looking up and seeing these kids in the front row, and somehow I felt worse for them than I did myself. Um, because I could just see the terror in their eyes. But looking back on that, it was a terrifying experience. It was like a car accident, really. I think that's the best thing I can compare it to, because it was just a lot and then nothing. Like, then suddenly it's just over. And my back was just ringing and stinging. And as I'm walking back, with the assistance of about every single ring crew that we have there, because it is not easy to pick me up, about halfway back, a very nice lady in the front row asked me if I was okay, and I gave her a nod, even though I was very much not. And I think the most memorable moment of that night for me was the way the crowd went off. And I learned in that moment the value of getting in there, doing everything you can, and even if you fail, if you walk out, if you get up and you walk out on your own 2 feet, you're a man.
Mm-hmm.
And not to say anything too harsh, but I believe that Lamar went out on wheels the 30th.
He did indeed. So you did address a good thing, and I will say we'll go with that Rocky quote. Not my Rocky quote, but is it's not how hard you get hit. It's how hard you can get hit and get back up.
Yes, sir. And
And
I've lived my
so
entire life by that.
yeah, and so now the question goes into Lamar's corner. And Zach,
Mm-hmm.
this has got to be the honest thing for you too. Is you
Yeah.
hit him really hard.
Yeah.
Now he's got to get. Now
And
what? How's he going to react if he does? He get back up one, and I can pretty much guarantee you that Lamar Phillips will get back up. But
he tends to do that.
Does Lamar take a high road and realize what he's done, or does Lamar come back for a vengeance? So
I think we might both know the answer to that.
I believe I do too, and so it's important that you do know that your head's got to be on a swivel at this point, because
Yep.
as time passes and Lamar heals, you know, his attitude is going to sour, as he's
Yep.
laying there nursing those wounds for sure.
Yep. He, truth be told, Rocky, I'm this whole feud has put a lot of things into perspective for me, because at first I was very scared. I still am scared. I'm not gonna. I know that I say I'm not scared a lot. I know that's one of the big things that I've told him, and I will continue to say it. But I am absolutely terrified of that man. He's everything you don't want to mess with.
Yeah.
But I know for a fact that doing what I'm doing, am sending a good message to people who might need it. Because how many people in that audience do you think, especially kids, especially children, how many people in that audience do you think deal with bullying on a daily basis?
Oh, every one of them. We all,
Yeah. Yeah.
even Rocky Shaw to today has to
Yep.
deal with
Oh, yeah.
bullies.
Yeah.
So
I know. We've we've been there for it, man.
yeah. So
And I'm here. I had to sit down and have a coming to Jesus moment with myself, and it actually happened right here at my dad's house out on the back porch. It was like 1:30 one night. I had the house to myself, and I'm looking up at the stars, and I'm asking myself, what am I doing? Am I really going to pick a fight with this guy, or am I just going to let it slide, let people forget about it eventually? And I know for a fact, Rocky, that I don't want to lay down, and I don't want to let him. I don't want to let him win. Will he probably, in the end of all this, break me beyond repair? Maybe. Probably. But if that means one kid goes on and doesn't put up with his bullies anymore and believes in himself and gets up and does what I say him, but anybody. If I'm doing good for anybody, then my sacrifice is worth it.
yeah, absolutely.
So Lamar can come with whatever he's got.
Mhm. And in all fairness, there's a KLT crowd behind you, and there might be a couple
Yeah.
other eyes on your back that's got you too. So not too many worries. So, but we're gonna make sure you're prepared for that come that time. So we're gonna
And
focus down on that training.
And there's I wanted to talk about it now that we're public and I can really make a statement about it. Um, when I spoke to you before I did what I did, when I asked you not to hold me back, I didn't know if it was entirely necessary to say, because I feel like it's one of those things like it's one of those "what would Rocky do" moments.
It was,
It's
and when
like,
you
yeah,
asked me,
well,
that's why I said I could. There's no way the guy that went after being jumped by the mafia. I took a roll of nickels to the forehead. I've took quarters to the forehead,
mm-hmm.
multiple chair
Jesus, yeah,
shots. Big dog split my skull straight open.
he
Uh,
did. I remember
and
that.
so, who am I to tell you what the smart thing to do was? At that point, it's you know when you back a dog into a corner, he's going to come out fighting, and somebody's going to get bit. And
Absolutely.
so,
And
that
I
was me watching Lamar fall in slow motion. Was the dog biting him that he kicked one too many times?
damn straight. And
So
I'll admit it. It was a cheap shot. It was. I I wasn't in the match. I jumped the barricade. I I mean, yeah, it was a cheap shot, but it was a message above anything else. And I just
yeah,
one on one, I have no idea. I have no idea what I'm gonna do. If he comes back and he wants a match with me, which I hope he does, despite how terrible it would be for my well being, because it would be a solid end to my statement. Win or lose,
Zach, you
I'm here
said
to
you didn't
fight.
know what you were going to do, and you just answered it right there. You're going to do what we trained you to do, and you're going to fight. He's going to hit you,
Yes,
and you're
sir.
going to get back up every time. And
Yes,
that's
sir.
how you win the match, when you can get up and he loses the will to put you back down. That's how you win a match.
You're right.
And
And
so,
that's what I'm going into it with.
yeah,
That's my only that's my only thing that I have really to help me, because when the bell rings, it's sanctioned. The fans like to, especially sitting around me, whenever Lamar gets in there and does something dastardly, you know, they they always look at me like, do something, do something. Well, there's only so much you can do.
yeah,
But this moment was one of those do something moments that I could actually really do something.
yeah, and you did.
But I know that in the moment where I'm facing Lamar, if that day comes, that I'm gonna have nothing but me and my grit and tenacity. That's that's gonna be my only weapon against him.
Yeah,
And win, lose, draw, or die, I'm gonna be there, and I'm gonna see
absolutely,
it through.
absolutely. So before I know we're kind of drawing into that hour
I
mark.
feel like
So
I'm
no,
yeah, I feel like I'm
you're
talking
doing
about my own
great.
funeral.
But I want to touch on one thing based on what happened that show that night.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to be honest, and
Mm-hmm.
Kamikaze had the re-celebration to relive it because he
That
was
was just that
sour.
was just adorable, wasn't it?
It was because he was sour because who stole the spotlight that night?
I wasn't trying to steal any spotlights, but uh, Kamikaze, if you're listening, don't think I didn't look at that pretty little belt. Don't think that I didn't have my eyes on that, and don't think that I don't know I'd have to go through you to get it.
Yeah. Well,
That's
and
all I'm going to say about that.
I just think the proper thing for him that night would have been to address and thank you for him winning that title,
He didn't even say
because
my name.
didn't even give you credit to say your name, but in considering that was the name that was on everybody's lips last that night, and including
But
Lamar's.
oh yeah, I think an oxygen mask was on Lamar's lips, actually. But I didn't do it for kamikaze. So ultimately, in the end, it's whatever. I thought about maybe doing more to help and get Zach Mosley the win, but you're in those moments, and it's like you don't know what to do. You go out there, you do like I had just pushed a man, presumably to his death. I did not expect him to go through that metal stage. And I mean, the way he just busted through that 3/4 inch plywood, the sound his body made, I was just, I was scared I'd killed somebody.
Yeah.
And even if it was Lamar.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was taping it at the time, so I watched him go all the way down and through and heard all the crunching and cracking. And just the guttural sigh out of the air coming out of his body as he laid at the bottom of that.
That was just.
I mean, it was hard. Even though I know he deserved it, I felt a little bit bad for him seeing the impact that he took there.
I momentarily wondered if I had made the wrong choice.
Yeah.
However, like I said, you've got to have confidence in this business. Yeah. And you know what? This is the business where you don't get anywhere if you don't step up and do something yourself in the first place.
Correct.
So, truth be told, at the end of the day, I'm not sorry for what I did. And I accept the consequences, whatever they may be. And if the consequence is I have to fight for my life, then that's the consequence.
Absolutely.
So I wasn't exactly brought up by people who taught me to quit.
No. And that's a good thing. That's one thing we can be proud of is, we don't have quitters around us and we don't want them.
No, sir.
So
not in our ranks.
Yeah, not in our ranks. So that being said, give me a little bit of a promo here. Tell me, closing us out, tell me how and what Zack Riley is going to be planning on this next year. What does 2024 bring for Zack Riley?
What does 2024 bring for Zack Riley? Well, honestly, Rocky, I can't tell you. But what I can tell you is that whatever it does bring, Zack Riley will be ready for it. Whatever needs to happen, whatever bullies, whatever enemies, whatever friends, whatever adversaries, I'm not going anywhere and I'm not giving up. I'm here to stay. Whether that's setting up the show, whether that's music, or whether it's where I want to be, in the middle of the ring, then I'm here for it. I think 2024 brings another great year of wrestling. And hopefully wrestling with Zack Riley involved.
Absolutely. I look forward to
because, that. Because, I didn't just look up at that title for nothing. I think I've got a goal.
You should. It should be everybody's goal in that business. If you walk through that door, that goal should be the number one thing on your list.
Absolutely.
So, well, Zack, I want to thank you for, go. Give me something.
No, you know what? 2024 brings the gauntlet of a champion. I may not be the champion by 2024, but I will prove to the people that I am deserving of it. That's what I'm going to do in 2024.
That sounds like a plan. I like that.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, Zack, I want to thank you for your time and thank you for joining me. I want to thank you for your heart.
Letting me come on, man.
And what you do for KLT. There's so many shout outs. I want to shout out to Chris Lightning, Chris Gans, Ricky Wiggins.
Yep.
Man, there, Papa James. I mean, there's Corey Hudgens, Peanut. There's so many people that are making that ball go around. Miss Tiffany, Diane Rose, and I'm gonna forget Summer Woods. Is that the right? Am I getting the right last name? Okay.
Yep. I call her Red, but
call her Red. So. So, guys, don't think that we don't see you guys, and we appreciate everything that you do for us, and we appreciate you fans. So, I will tell you this, and for me and Zach Riley, Zach, you know how we close out these podcasts?
I might need you to tell me, Rock.
Until next time, beware the 12 gauge.
Yes, sir.